When I was going to medical school, they said in class, we are practicing medicine, we're not perfecting it. I remember this teacher said, you're the smartest person in the room, so act that way. And if you guess what? That's what malpractice is for. And I thought, wow, that's everything wrong because someone like you killed my mother.
What are some of the mistakes that you see that elite athletes make all the time when it comes to recovery?
Oh, not only do I see it, but I see them recycle it to their children if you're watching.
Today, we have Dr. Lauren Leiva, the Queen of Biohacking. Welcome.
Dr. Lauren Leiva is a doctor of physical therapy who turned her own medical challenges into a mission to help others heal. She guides people through focused neuromuscular work and advanced recovery methods that support real progress.
You have a book that you're working on, Patient to Provider. What encouraged you to put this book together and what is it about?
So it is truly about my journey. There's a lot of different sexual abuse that happens in the medical community that nobody talks about. Unfortunately, I had a forced abortion when I was 13. And that's the first time I'm saying it publicly. It's in my book, but sneak peek, buy the book for the rest.
CBD IVs. I know you've tried it. You like it. Let's talk about it.
People listening might not know how amazing CBD is, but it's like a super anti-inflammatory. I've used it on my children when they were teething. I don't give a what anybody says.
Welcome to another episode of A Healthy Point of View podcast. I'm your host, Sam Tejada, and as usual, we're bringing experts from all over the world to talk about health, wellness, beauty, and mindset. Today's guest, she seems like she's just going world. She's at every single biohacking and longevity conference. At least that's my opinion because I see her out there all over the place, helping people get well and also making sure that medical providers take their medical practice to the next level. Today, we have Dr. Lauren Leiva, the Queen of Biohacking. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So it's been a while. We've been talking about coming on A Healthy Point of View podcast to really, talk about some of the things that are happening in the longevity space. You're heavily involved. But first, the first step I want to take is I want people to get to know who the Queen of Biohacking truly is. What was your upbringing?
Wow. So how much time do we have now? My upbringing is very different. I actually grew up. My father, my family comes from a Holocaust-surviving family. I was the firstborn in Florida in America, first college graduate. I went from a home to my parents splitting up in a one-bedroom apartment. I've lived in different communities, whether it's Section 8 or a different community where there's a bus stop and you have a pool. So I've been in different experiences, from public school to private school. You're from Fort Lauderdale, so I went to Pinecrest Elementary School, which is like this super luxurious elite private school, and then I went to Addicks Middle School, in Hollywood, Florida, when I lived in a one-bedroom apartment. So I had a very different background to experience many different communities and social situations. And myself, I went to college at USF. I got a full scholarship, and it was not only for being top of my class, but it was for overcoming hardship and from being from a low income background. So it was the Jenkins Scholarship from Publix.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And
Awesome.
I went to USF. I was gonna start off
That's
and
in Tampa.
yeah, in
Right,
Tampa.
right, right.
That's I was like USF. I'm from Fort Lauderdale. This is not South Florida.
Right, right.
So that's what brought me to Tampa. I met my husband, who's a jeweler, and when we had a son together, and now two children. And 19 years later, I stayed in Tampa. I built my business there,
Nice.
and that's a really quick background. How I got the name Queen of Biohacking was through different situations with the medical community. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 1997.
Okay.
They said I had the most severe form of Crohn's disease,
Mm.
and because I had no insurance, my parents would take me to a health department or drop me off at the hospital. And when you don't have health insurance or when you're low income, most often people or doctors or wherever it is, they're clocking in, clocking out. They want to stabilize you for their time on staff, but really not fix you or heal you because they know insurance won't cover it or you might not be around, next week.
Right.
So I grew up with very choppy healthcare and a lot like my maid of honor, her father's an anesthesiologist. And he told me, where I was in my adulthood, I should not have been if I had better providers because I was bounced around from health department to health department, hospital to hospital. So I got to experience the medical world from a low income standpoint, and they put me on prednisone a lot, acetylflagyl, and these things caused other problems. And that's really what drove me into wanting to be a doctor myself. When I went to go to USF medical school, my mom had a stroke, lung cancer.
Mm,
And my first son, who's now 18, he turned 18 Monday. Um, I thought my mom was going to help me with my baby while I'm in medical school. And now I have a newborn and my mother who I had to help with feeding and bathing and everything.
right.
So I dropped out of medical school at that time. And what really saved me was getting a yoga teaching license because it helped me stabilize my mental, breathe more, maybe do less, just be able to be for my family, a mother to my son, a wife to my husband, and care for my mother. But once I realized all that hands-on amazing stuff for my son, he didn't walk or talk. He was born 2 months early.
Oh,
A
wow.
lot of people don't know this. And I had to bring him to physical therapy, occupational speech, and just going to doctors all the time. It actually made me really not like, you said I can curse.
Yeah, whatever you
You
want.
know, it really made me not like the medical field. I just thought they were all assholes and motherfuckers. They just wanted to cut and prescribe. My mom, who had good insurance, Medicare, or yeah, Medicaid, they don't care about you. Medicare, they do care about you because you can get paid for. So they did bilateral carpal tunnel release. They did total shoulder replacement on both, total knee replacement, total hip replacement. They just kept cutting her open and prescribing pain medicine.
Wow.
And it was her spine. And either way, all these things really made me wanna go into physical therapy. So I went back to school, I got my doctorate in physical therapy, and, with my 2nd child, I was hospitalized 9 months, and it was kind of a devastation. I ended up with a colostomy bag and, TPN, so nothing by mouth, and I had to control my own, IV therapy. I was doing home care once I was out of there. I had to replace all my teeth. Every single teeth in my mouth tooth in my mouth is replaced from being intubated and having malnourishment and, just acid buildup. So, I've had a lot of pain to purpose, like a lot of people, and, now I'm in my passion state to really help others. But when I had a colostomy, when I had the PICC line, I lost feeling in my left arm, and I knew in my heart as a human, I wanted to go to the bathroom instead of just changing this thing on my stomach. And I told you earlier, I was a Hawaiian Tropic model. So going from a bikini model to taking a shower, looking down and seeing a colostomy was super devastating to
Right.
me. So the first biohacking tool I found was the Newbie device from NewFit.
Oh, with
And
all of the different microcurrents and the
yeah,
frequencies, right?
so I really dove into that, and I found a place in Tampa, and the guy kinda laughed at me. I was still a student. I put this machine on 4 or 5 different credit cards I maxed
Oh,
out.
wow.
I was still in my income bracket of loans and everything like that, but I believed in this device, and I knew it would help my mom with the stroke that she had, and it would help me feel my left arm again. So, that's really what got me into it, and
Did
it
it help?
100%, it
Yeah.
took all my pain away. I go to the bathroom again. The last sentence on the podcast I had with Dr. Patrick Porter of BrainTap was, "Oh, wait, wait, wait. I shit out of my asshole." Just to make that clear. But, I'm proud of that, and I really think that's why I am that party in a bottle or that positive energy because to literally have gratitude for each and every shit you take is a gift from God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I wake up I stand outside, I look at my house, it's 6 bedrooms, I have a saltwater pool, my kids go to private school, and I've built a life for them, and really biohacking helps with a lot of this, so I'm proud of that Queen of Biohacking. It's helped not only me, my family, but most of my population that I treat has MS or CP or spastic paraplegia, you
Yeah,
know?
I feel like most people don't understand. Like you said, you're just happy today that you were able to shit through your asshole, right?
Yeah,
So, so,
simple
so
as that.
some people just don't understand what they have until you don't have it,
True.
right? And then it makes you appreciate something as simple as that. As most people look at it, it's like, what are they saying on that podcast? It's like, dude, just imagine if you have to walk around with a bag where all your fecal matter goes into.
100%.
Like that is something that kind of makes you think. Now, Dr. Lauren, um, one of the things that I've heard you talk about is you losing your mother really shaped your mission
Yeah.
to where you're at today. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So my mom was absolutely my best friend, and often people will say, "How long have you been practicing yoga?" Even though when I left medical school and I went to get my 200-hour, 500-hour yoga certification, my mom had me in her 40s, and she was a hippie, so I feel like I was birthed on the beach. South Florida, there was drummings on the beach. She taught me laughter yoga, scream therapy, all these things that were weird back then are now very popular now. So, she really gave me those alternative ways, and she practiced, like, Ayurvedic medicine, and she even gave me marijuana as a child, which back then had so much stigma because I was going to the bathroom 100 times a day. I would even throw up water, my stomach was so tight,
Mm,
so she started giving me plant medicines as a child. Towards the end, I mean, and when I was in college, like I said, when I was gonna go to medical school and when I was in graduate school, she would proofread my papers. She was so smart, so intelligent, and, I know you were a firefighter. She had a stroke in her house, and I'll always remember because I could hear the fire truck, that sound coming, and it's almost I can hear it all the time. Every time it drives by, it takes me back to this moment because she just had surgery, cervical, surgery, so she had her cervical spine fused,
mm,
which is very serious,
right.
and she had the cone on, and I had all these concerns, and I was sharing with her doctors, and nobody listened, and so right when she got home, she had a seizure, and I had to stabilize her while the fire truck was coming, but, um, they told me because she was speaking gibberish by the time she came, but she was stabilized because I was there stabilizing her. However, I knew she had a stroke, and they said, "Well, this is just what old people do, it wasn't the best set of firemen, like, they're not always coherent." I'm like, "No, my mother's smart." And I think that's our purpose is living into longevity, smart, wise,
Right.
useful, strong. She said we don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing. She was a little
Yeah.
nudie swinger. I mean, she was a wild one, my mom.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's the tree I fell from, and I knew something was very wrong. Again, that's what got me into with the newbie to try to rewire her brain, but unfortunately, in 2019, she was overdosed on blood thinner,
Mm,
and it was just crazy because she's overcame all those joint replacements, she overcame lung cancer, she overcame part of her lungs being removed. She taught me, it's all about quality of life, not quantity. She told me I think that gave me a lot of my energy to not be so attached to the physical world of what's tomorrow or how am I gonna get from point A to point B. It was more like just close your eyes and be anywhere you want. So I think it was more of like a quantum theory that she was giving me and do what you can in this life and not worry about it. But
that's pretty cool.
yeah,
That's very powerful because people get so stuck in the moment.
yeah.
And being stuck in the moment, a lot of the times that's because you're thinking about the past or the future. You're not living in the present,
Mhm.
and sometimes you just have to just like enjoy life, right?
Yeah.
They say it's like you got to enjoy the journey, not just the destination. So
Yeah.
part of that, it's almost like you got to rewire your mind a bit. So
100%. I mean, I've been married 19 years, so that doesn't mean I'm her copycat. she was married 5 times, and she's like, "I'd rather be alone than unhappy." So she taught me about happiness and quality of life, and, I'm happy to be able to build that with my children, with my husband. It
Yeah.
doesn't always have to look the same for everybody, and that's what I love about being a queen because I have that spiciness, I feel like I have that sexiness of my mom, but it's also different. I have that stability of, like, a grounded woman for my children, for my husband, and for my clients, so
Yeah.
I'm just really excited to take the bits and pieces I wanted and leave the rest behind,
Yeah, I
shizzle
tell you,
balance.
listen, that newbie technology you're
Yeah.
talking about, I have a dear friend of mine, Eric Lander, who's he works in the capacity as a shaman. Like he
Mhm.
studied in all the different countries with a lot of the great masters that are out there. And one of the things that he utilizes is the newbie. And my business mentor, Yadik Tadla, he almost lost one of his legs in a ski accident where they had to airlift him. He was in the hospital for about 6 months. They were going to amputate it. And
Mhm.
fortunately, through a lot of different treatments, stem cells, and all kinds of stuff, he was able to save the leg, but he lost all feeling on there.
Mhm.
This is a guy that was doing Ironmans all the time.
Yeah.
And I told him, says, "Yeah, you got to go see my buddy, Eric."
Garrett. Yeah,
And
Eric.
and he went to Eric. He did multiple sessions with the
Mhm.
newbie. Leg is like brand new. Yeah,
100%.
the feeling and
I
everything.
love it. Yeah.
So amazing stuff. And now he does a lot of stuff with the horses, the
Yeah.
race horses and stuff.
I fix
Yeah,
dogs now. I mean, I started Biohack Your Pet last year.
nice,
And,
amazing.
I'm not a veterinarian, so legally I can't say I treat dogs, but, with the newbie, I have geared my education and they provide good continuing education. So I've taken every single one of their continuing education courses. I remember last year on Black Friday, their courses were half off. My husband's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing newbie for MS, newbie for hypertrophic training, newbie for bodybuilders, newbie for pelvic floor." Because I wanted to be able to apply it in so many different ways. It's like a elementary school kid getting a grade, meeting, progressing, how kids get graded. I mean, I want
Right.
to be able to apply the devices that I know to whatever problem I have. So I've even bought in prostate um attachments, pelvic floor attachments for women to fix their pelvic floor after children. I do water baths with NFL athletes, like we call them Oscar the Grouches. We fill up, water in a trash can. We stimulate the water. So maybe this athlete has testicular torsion or a lot of different issues going on down there that maybe we don't know about and they don't want someone doing manual therapy. So
Right.
there's so many ways. And then through that, through the water therapy, I realized, "Oh, maybe we should put your dog in it to heal the hip,"
Yeah.
and now my patients are healing their dogs, and there's just so many cool things about it, and then when you can tie it in, like, the newbie has a program for master reset. You stimulate the vagus nerve, you put 2 pads on the feet, and for 30 minutes, it's almost like 4 hours of deep sleep.
Oh, wow.
So if you can and that's one of the best treatments if someone has MS, CP, Parkinson's, post-stroke, just to really reset the nervous system. And if you can combine that with a brain tap, I mean, this is a beautiful thing. I'm not a gatekeeper. This is why I became a consultant to medical professionals because if you can do a master reset and a brain tap with IV therapy, I mean, first of all, you can add on if you want another flow of income, or I joke with my clients, it's the only happy ending you're going to get at my center. So we give electrical happy endings with our master resets, our brain taps,
Right.
and just
Wow.
really combining the devices, the frequencies, you can make magic happen.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
It's like I keep on telling people frequency is like the future of medicine. It really is.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr.
I
Lord,
think, yeah, go ahead.
so with everything that we're talking about, um, you have a book that you're working on,
Yes.
patient to provider.
Yes.
So, you're talking about you as a patient, having your certain health issues,
Yes.
your mom in the allopathic traditional medicine,
Mhm.
her issues that you saw as you
Yes.
started having to take care of her. What encouraged you to put this book together and what is it about?
So it is truly about my journey going from being a patient. I've had many different interactions. And when you're a young girl, especially back in the day, needing to have an exam down there and your parents aren't in the room, you could have weird events happen with weird doctors or nurses. and things that happen to girls happen to boys. So there's a lot of different sexual abuse that happens in the medical community that nobody talks about, and it's something that I'm starting to talk about, which is still hard for me. But I think that when a child goes from being okay, I was a competitive figure skater. I was Little Miss Hawaiian Tropic. I was a little model too.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I'm pooping 100 times a day and throwing up all the time. Nobody asked me what happened.
Right.
Um, and, maybe this will be my debut. It'll be crazy. But unfortunately, I had a forced abortion when I was 13.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's the first time I'm saying it publicly. It's in my book, but sneak peek, buy the book for the rest. But I was fine the day before and the day after I had Crohn's disease.
Wow.
But did I have Crohn's
So the
disease?
Crohn's disease came after the forced abortion?
Yeah, and I think it's because I didn't talk about it. I stored it. The issues get stuck in the tissues. And
So
when I
hold on, because I know what that means, but I
yeah,
know a lot
yeah.
of the listeners and viewers don't understand what you mean by the issues get stuck in the
Yeah.
tissues. That actually rhymes. Issues get stuck in the
Issues get
tissues.
stuck in the tissues, yeah.
Yeah.
But I had my phone I wrote a poem recently, which is turning into a podcast because I met this girl who told me I inspired her, and she said that she was just diagnosed with something, and she's pooping and throwing up at the same time, and she sees me on Instagram and talking about poop and throwing up, and she couldn't believe she was next to me, and she's taking all my tips, and I found out later something happened to her, which was you can only let your mind wander, but something like rape, and,
Right. And we can talk about those things because, obviously
yeah,
this is a health and wellness podcast. So,
yeah, and,
I think those are important things to talk about because, this is a crazy world we live in right now,
yeah,
So,
and
w-
what
the,
after I just wanna say, after I met her, when I found out really what happened, it actually opened up a whole new thing. That's when I wrote the meditation Purge of Sisters for BrainTap because she started throwing up and pooping after this event happened, and I figure our DNA and universe and God is so amazing and so divine that her body's literally turning inside out to rid herself of this other person's DNA or the trauma that
that
happened.
energy that went into her,
Exactly.
it's almost like going through this purging detoxification effect, right?
Yeah.
So I could see that.
I think so, and, like, I feel that when she came up to me, it was really a revelation that maybe even myself, if I didn't hide all these terrible things when I was 13, maybe I would've never had Crohn's. So, I thought it's my mission to not only tell that girl, "You need to report these things, we need to do something
Right.
about it," and, maybe you don't have a condition, and maybe a lot of people
Yeah.
don't.
It could
What's
be a stored trauma. Right.
exactly.
So let me ask you something specific to your situation.
Mhm.
From at the age of 13, what is it that you feel would be most important for, let's say there's a teenager listening to this
Mhm.
podcast or a family member that has teenagers, that what would be the thing that could have prevented that from happening in your opinion?
So, unfortunately, I don't think anything can prevent these things. I think we all have these paths, and unfortunately, no matter how strict of a parent you are, I speak to so many different trauma victims and caregivers and parents, and things have happened in their own home, people that never let their kids out. I think terrible things happen, but it's what you do with them afterwards. Obviously, I don't let my kids sleep at other people's homes. And, you go in if there's a doctor, especially of the opposite sex, with your child and they're getting an exam on the pelvic floor area. All of these things are very important, but I think to let your children know, and if you're a teenager, again, but it's really weird because I have been in all of these different backgrounds. I've had people that have been taken out of the home and then they're in a government space that might be worse. So people get afraid to report things or tell on people and they feel like they have nowhere to go. So I think if there's a teacher, a guidance counselor, a neighbor, if you have one source, just let them know, tell them because you're not alone. And I
Yeah.
think it's finding that right person because there's so many wrong people. And that's what happened to me. Everybody told me, "Oh, you're so beautiful and smart." It's like, "But I'm in pain and I'm sad." "Oh, but you're beautiful." It's like, "But I wanna fucking kill myself." Like, hello, are you listening? It's like, you got a level head you can maintain, and a lot of people shush you. So, um, and then you lose that response of like, this is wrong. What happened to me? You just forget it and you store it and you move on because we are strong people.
Right.
So I think the best advice is telling someone that you trust. If you don't have anybody, find me, tell me. I'm a trusted source. But if you do tell someone and they belittle it or they act like it's no big deal, find another person because it is a
Yeah.
big deal.
And I think it's important for people, especially younger men and women, right?
Yeah.
When they're going through the adolescent age as
Hmm.
teenagers, to kind of really understand what these medical examinations and procedures should entail of,
Oh
right?
yes, that's a good one. Like
Because
my
if you're new to it, is this normal? Is this not normal?
yeah,
Is he or she supposed to be touching me there? Like,
yeah,
what is this procedure really supposed to be like? In today's world, we live in such a digital world. You should be able to find some guidance online. So where if things are a little bit weird, lights are turned off, or there's not another if there's not another female in the room, if it's a male doctor. These
yeah,
are kind of important things. And listen, sometimes also just the individual is a little bit weird. And if they're a little bit weird, maybe you want to go find somebody else. Listen, I
100%.
got, in the fire department, they put a lot of emphasis of doing your life scan. Part of it, you have to get your prostate checked
Yeah.
as a guy,
Mhm.
and they put the finger in the butt.
Yeah, yeah.
And I tell you, and this is me as a grown ass man, the doctor who was there, and there was somebody else in the room, his assistant, um, you know, he said some weird slick comment where I turned around, I was like, "Dude, what was that all about?" He's
Yeah.
like so for me, it was just kinda like, that was a little weird. The
Yeah.
guy was a professional doctor, in Boca Raton, and, he said something like, he's like, "I promise you won't read about me on the front page of the newspaper,"
Yeah, yeah.
while he's got his finger in my butt checking my prostate.
Yeah.
I was like, "That's kinda fucking weird."
Yeah.
Bro, don't ever say that comment again, especially while you're doing this
Yeah,
procedure.
yeah.
So, yeah,
I
so
mean, I've had dentists make jokes while my mouth is open and I can't say anything, and they'll say, "Why does the dental assistant bow leg?" Or like, "Why is the cowgirl bow-legged?" "'Cause the cowboy was hungry." And I'm like, my mouth is open. What stimulated this joke? And I'm just here. But I
Yeah,
think, and what happens to women happens to men. It happens just as much, but it's less talked about, because when I do talk about sexual abuse and different things, most often a man will tell me, what you said helped me. Something happened to me and I've never told anybody. So it does happen to both sexes. It's just not talked about. And again, if someone has a diagnosis and you can take a fish out of the fishbowl, fix it up, but if you're putting it back in the same environment,
yeah.
it's toxic. So really looking at the environment
Yeah.
is important to
And
me.
you and I are both very social
Mhm.
people. We're out at a lot of conferences, events, we're on stage speaking. And people out there tend to start like gravitating and liking you, and sometimes in a little bit of a weird way. Like I'll get some like older ladies, and nothing against old ladies,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
like they think it's just fine to come and just like start touching me, and
Yeah, or like,
just
yeah,
like, yo,
my mom would have been one of them. No, I'm kidding.
take a few steps back,
Yeah,
please. And I
yeah.
try to do it in a very nice way, but
Yeah.
sometimes as we start growing as individuals with our personal brands and being on stage, sometimes people will look at you as an object, right?
Yeah.
And when I was on the fireman's calendar, that thing really opened up my eyes to what like women experience. These When I was on the fireman's calendar, you'd go up, I'd be on South Beach on stage with all the other firefighters, we're
Yeah,
stripping our
yeah.
clothes off, but the way we would get treated was
Yeah.
like we were a piece of meat, and like I just didn't exist. I was just being like
Yeah,
thrown
I had
back and
a
forth.
handsome intern that looked, similar to you, and he became a water aerobics teacher during his internship with me. And he
Okay.
came back in and he goes, "Dr. Leiva, I'm so sorry what happens to you all the time because I feel so violated." And I go, "What happened?" He goes, "I was gonna be the water aerobics instructor." And I'm like this outside of the pool, and all the older women were like, "Come on in here, bad boy."
I
And like he got in
bet.
the water and they're like washboard stomach. He just felt like 100 hands on him. And he's like, "What is this world that you're in?" And
Wow.
being a physical therapist and I get very personal with my patients. I'm glad I've built the confidence in a community that someone told me one day, everybody before you will respect you and honor your time. And that's the business I built. So I don't have any of these issues anymore.
Nice.
But as a new therapist, sometimes I would have the patients just staring at me. And at the end, I'm like, "This is not what it is." But, they're just like, "I can't believe I'm with the queen." "I can't believe I'm here." I'm like, It's just physical therapy. Calm
Right,
down."
right. So
Yeah.
Dr. Lord, um, when it comes to biohacking, for the everyday person, how would you define biohacking?
So I tell people that have no idea that they are probably some form of biohacker if they're speaking with me. But biohacking is, I say, think of hacking into a computer. You're hacking into your biology,
Right,
biohacking, like medical terminology. We break it down. And how do you hack your biology? Well, you could do it for free by grounding, barefoot outside, going into the sun at certain times of the day, receiving vitamin D, helping your testosterone, your hormones, um, taking supplementation, looking at your blood work regularly, and always fixing your weakest links. And for me, that's through IV therapy because with the colostomy bag and taking out lots of my intestine, it's chronic malnutrition, dehydration. So, really, I tell them it's strengthening the weakest link through any way, shape, or form. And there is positive biohacking, and I also think there's some negative biohacking. I don't think everybody needs semaglutide, and all these GLP
right.
ones, but there is good ways to take it. However, I have had people in my family that had gastroparesis from it. So like when people say, "Oh, this never happened," like I've seen it happen in my own family and people close to me. So and my mom having medical malpractice, it's do no harm first. But biohacking is supplementation. Like I said, electrical stimulation with exercise. What we do in 20 minutes is like 4 hours in the gym. So it's time efficient ways to achieve your health goals faster than you would traditionally.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
I would say that's a good definition.
I love that. So, one of the things that I noticed with you, following you for quite a while is you stay mission driven. It's not necessarily always about the profit for you.
Mhm.
Obviously we all want to make money, but with you it's like there's a mission behind it. Why is that?
Well, because I'm alive for this mission. Because I could have died of so many times, but each time when I hear someone say I changed their life, I prevented them from killing themselves and, being the change I wanna see. I had terrible healthcare when I was younger, and I wanna do better. My mom was killed by being overdosed on blood thinner. I never finished that, but that was just way too soon, way too fast. So to be able to do no harm and teach doctors, the patient to provider, even, I realize it happens in the institution. So I host an internship to help doctors of tomorrow have more compassion, more empathy.
Right.
So it's truly like I said, I'm grateful to shit and share. I've learned so much, and some people will tell me I got off stage and these women took pictures. They're like, "We bought the same outfit you did," and like 3 people bought the same outfit I did just by ChatGPT, finding my boots and my shirt. And my mom always said copying is a good form of flattery. So I was like, okay. But I'm up here for a reason. Like I'm inspiring them through style. But they're like, you're the most authentic person on stage. I don't need to be the best speaker, but I hear this so many times, like, out of all the talks, I really connected with you.
You keep it real.
Yeah, and,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
they're like, "I send your talk to 5 people that need it," and that's truly what it's
yeah,
about. I could connect with 2 doctors out of hundreds, and we're smoking a blunt outside after the
yeah.
conference. It's not about the whole masses, it's who needs to hear your
And
story.
who has to actually get that connection, right? Because
100%.
this is a lot of times you go to these conferences and you hear doctors on stage. One, they're a bit too pretentious,
Mhm.
right? They're speaking in technical forms and that, like they don't even speak like that on the regular. Like
Yeah,
if you're just
no.
having a beer with them, so it's just like now you feel like they're speaking above you, like
Yes.
above like you on the other end. You get on that stage and you're just like one of anybody, you know?
Well, I
It's a
think,
different approach.
when I was going to medical school, they said in class, "We are practicing medicine, we're not perfecting it." I remember this, it's in my book, this teacher said, "You're the smartest person in the room, so act that way. And if you fuck up, guess what? That's what malpractice is for. We're practicing. Don't be scared. Have a good ego. Talk smart. You're gonna do okay." And I thought, wow, that's everything wrong. Because someone like you killed my mother.
Right,
It's do no harm first. If you don't know, ask. And what I
right,
tell my patients, they know I would never hurt them. I always find them the best resource. And because they know I don't need every single one of their dollars, if I need to, like, I just wanted to refer someone to Tara from Mitozen because they're looking at supplements and she does this all day, every day. I don't need this consultation. I want them to get the care they need.
right.
So I often send out people when they're like, "Why are you passing on what did this one football player say? Why are you passing on this blessing, Dr. Leiva?" And I said, of course I could take your money, but like someone else can better treat you.
Yeah,
And when they know that, guess what? They send me everybody else. And it's not even about that. But I really sit with myself, universe. I believe in God. And it's really as easy as that. Like I
right.
just consistently have a conversation there and want to do my best.
Yeah, so we were talking about the you're mission driven and not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily all about the profit. Now, you come from different social economic groups, especially growing up, how you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
earlier. There's things that you do where you start making a lot of the recovery tools that you have affordable, which is
Mm-hmm.
something that I resonate with a lot because I grew up in the inner city, immigrant from Dominican Republic. Both of my doctors that are my partners in Liquid, Dr. Davis and Dr. Haywood, African American.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we're going to get into this conversation as well too is that the functional medicine and biohacking industry has been primarily white male driven,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's been for like the most affluent. That
Yeah.
those are the people that who've had access to a lot of the functional medicine biohacking. And for me, obviously coming from where I come from, I want to make this readily available to the masses, right? And make it
100%.
affordable to the masses. The reason why I launched this podcast was not for me to make money. It was to get experts like yourself, the information from experts like yourself
Mm-hmm.
out to people who might not ever get that exposure unless if it is
Yeah.
through like a podcast that's free. So, you're actively doing that. You're also the queen, which you have a lot of strong women power that's behind you. You try to motivate a lot of other women. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about those two things about you making recovery tools accessible and affordable,
Mm-hmm.
and then also talking about the women in biohacking.
So with accessibility, that's very important because again, most doctors wouldn't even see me because I didn't have insurance. And I could tell the way people treated me because of finances and even being in school, they're like, well, if this kid has this background or money or financial, we could, sprinkle pig DNA on their hand and grow back a hand. If they're Medicaid, let's, amputate the hand. It's like, that's a whole different life. You grow up with fine motor skills or
Yeah.
no hand. And that's based off insurance. So that was just crazy. So for me, I always told myself when I have my practice, I want to have a day where it's pay anything you can Friday.
What is it? Say
And
that again.
pay anything you can Friday.
Anything Friday.
Pay anything you can Friday. So an evaluation at my clinic is around 275. Most things are above 200 an hour. Most memberships start above 800 per 28-day billing cycle because you need 13 billing cycles, not
Pay
12.
anything Friday.
Yeah,
Pay
so
okay.
pay anything
I
you
thought you
can
say
Friday.
Panty Friday.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
like,
No,
right?
no, no.
Yeah. So that's how. Okay, we had
Pay.
to correct that.
Okay.
So
PAY. Pay anything you can
okay,
Friday.
pay anything you
So,
can Friday, guys. Not Penny
yeah,
Fridays.
not Panty Friday. Not Panty Friday. Okay. We should make Panty
You thought that too,
Tuesday.
right? Okay, all
Yes,
right. Just
maybe
making sure.
Panty Tuesday, right? Or if you're broke, sell your panties online. I'm joking. But no, pay anything you can Friday is very important to me because it's $20 to book your spot. And the reason why I did $20 minimum is for people to show up, be on time, and care. And it's not, oh, because most people, even if you are super low income, $20 will help you show up, help you care,
Right.
and value that time.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
before we even had that, a lot of people said they would come. There were no shows, and I have a lot of students there. And as a facility, you're spending a lot of money and you're giving it to the community. I don't
Right.
think they realize like it actually costs the business more money to do that. Like the $20 doesn't pay
Doesn't
even the
cover it. Right.
bills. And with that 20, I actually give half to our internship because the students that are interning are not allowed to have jobs or make money while they're in the internship. They're not
Okay.
allowed to get paid by me.
No tips either?
No, well, I don't watch whatever happens. You guys could tip my interns. I won't look, and I don't think they'll tell me. But the $20, 10 goes to the facility, 10 goes to the intern. If someone, which often will happen, say, you know what, this was so amazing, let me give $40. It's a 50-50 split with the facility and the intern. So the interns love it, the community loves it, and they have access. And it's just really important to me. We also rent out our biohacking tools. So like I could buy a newbie for $18,000 or more, and then I can, rent it out to a patient or rent it out, with guidance, and have them be able to have it for a month. Because maybe they can't afford to buy it permanently, but maybe just for a month, it can help get them better.
Right.
So, and then with our evaluations, we provide 6 weeks of home exercise program, and we'll talk back and forth with the patients. Because if you look at my reviews, like I've had athletes that have been around the world for 2 years with neck pain, chronic nerve pain, and it only took one session. Some of my patients that have CPMS, post stroke, or certain like Parkinson's, that might need me longer. Like I've had patients for 10 years and longer. So it's kind of beautiful because I don't wanna call them my lifers, but I have patients that are probably gonna be with me the rest of their life, and I'm just honored and grateful, and it's how I set up my business. So,
Nice.
we have memberships and we have Pay Anything You Can Friday. So that's really good, and then I also have been teaching yoga to high school football teams and to reach 100, varsity and junior varsity athletes from, these public schools.
That's amazing, and get them young too, so they can
Yeah.
really understand how to start taking care of their health. That's very important,
Mhm.
that the younger you can get to them, the better,
Yeah.
because that's where longevity and health span really, has a huge effect.
Exactly,
So
and
you can start
teaching them
early.
frequency through yoga. I brought my drum and it was a buffalo drum, very
Nice.
vibrational, and for the athletes to ask me, "Hey, Dr. Leiva, can you bring the drum?" Like, now they're part of the yoga and they really enjoy it, and it really means a lot to me, and, it's like people typically think, "Oh, yoga's for women," going all the way back to what you asked before with women, you know, um I like to first of all bridge that gap for men and women to know, meditation, movement, even gracefulness is not just for women. But I also want women to know they can be sexy and it doesn't have to be slutty. You don't have to be single to be sexy. You don't have to lose your sexiness because you're
What does that
married.
mean? You could be sexy and not slutty. Give me an example.
Well, if you've seen me in the Dave Asprey, I was on stage with, Steve Aoki or wherever, and I'm probably twerking. I'm like, and I might be Jersey Turnpike twerking, like face down, ass up. And I love to party. And really, when I was hospitalized 9 months, just sitting there, I had a revelation that when I dance, when I laugh, I'm free and I'm happy. And
Mm.
nobody will ever make me feel like a slut or a whore. And these are things that were whispered about me in college and school. They're like, how could even the dean's like, look at the Britney Spears anomaly over there, she, like with her little tube top. But like I'm in college just walking by and how could she be a scholar but also looking like Britney Spears like that? And
Mhm.
these little things add up, the tiny words.
Yeah.
And not until I was, burned alive and in the hospital bed 9 months, I had to disconnect from all of those tiny words. And like I've been touched by patients in skilled nursing facilities. And, I left my keys in the office. And when I go back, I could hear my supervisor say, well, she deserved it. Look at the way she dressed with her tiny waist or her boobs. And she should wear a turtleneck if she doesn't want someone to grab her.
Wow.
So a lot of people will make you feel like you deserve to be grabbed or touched, and or you got to cover up with, a burqa. And I don't, some people can do that for religious reasons. Um, but I was told to do that in my physical therapy labs when I was in school. Like, you're distracting. And I knew some of my teachers were lesbians. And I'm like, I'm not covering up.
Right.
This is what we're doing
Yeah.
here. And it's
Like
like
like you control yourself, right?
exactly. It's like,
I don't gotta
someone
control
could be
myself. I'm
200
good.
pounds overweight and her cleavage is just spilling out of her sports bra. And mine's like all nice and tight in here. And they're like, put on a sweater. That's distracting. I'm like, what about that? There's like 4 bowling balls right there. And I'm not even saying it that way. It's just we all can have our boobs out. And I love to be in women only events because again, I'm married. I don't want to have my boobs out and have guys just staring at me. It's not the same energy, but um being in a group of women. Also, I brought in that nudity because we all think, oh, my boobs look funny or my vagina's weird. If people look up yoni gazing, I thought that was pretty weird, pretty crazy. And it's exactly what it sounds like.
What's yoni gazing?
So, this is the yoni.
Right. I know
Okay.
that.
So, like, imagine sitting in a circle with women and having your knees propped up and your feet open, and you're just having a conversation. And you're like, oh, wow, look at her vagina.
That's the thing?
Yeah, it's a thing.
You've done that?
I've done it.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's like, I've sunned my butthole with a bunch of women and done naked yoga at
The butthole sounding,
like, that's
I've heard that.
popular, but,
Dave Asprey talks about that a lot.
but in the beginning, it's weird, but then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, everybody's got a different body and they're all
So it's
beautiful."
called yoni
Yoni
gazing.
gazing. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's when you can yoni gaze
I guess so the
yourself.
women do that or like
Women do that, I
men
think.
doing like pecker gazing too? That's
I
kind of a
don't
little
know,
weird.
I'm wondering, you just
A
look at
little
the
weird.
different peckers and balls hanging, I don't know, but I think women
You,
need it
you know
more
what?
than men.
If somebody launched that, we would probably get a lot more patients for our sexual health division because the guys would want to come and get like the gain wave treatment to make it
Yeah,
longer, bigger, thicker, stronger.
exactly, totally, and then even, like, with that, everybody's like, all I'm saying is it desensitizes you to saying, "Oh, my right boob's bigger than my left labia is bigger than my right, I
Yeah.
got an innie or outie," and I'm not talking about a belly button, but
Yeah, you know what? You're right about that, about the desensitizing, because when you start thinking about like people that live in tribes
Mhm,
in these other countries, these other continents, right? That they're still living like walking around in the dirt barefooted, they're barely wearing anything. They're like naked
yeah,
out in the woods. They're not looking at each other in a sexual way or anything like that.
no,
And that's
it's
because
natural,
they're just like it's part of nature,
yeah,
right? And what we've done here specifically in the United States is we've created that, right? We've created about the clothing and you have to be fully clothed and
yeah,
all of that
pale
stuff.
skin scared to show pecker. No, I'm kidding. Have you seen that Maui movie? It's like a series on TV, but I think it was the Aquaman guy, but he's like comes back from being with the pale skin, because it's like Maui, Hawaii, and when they were colonized. But when he comes back, he's wearing pants, and they're
Mm.
like, "Why are you covering up?" And he's like, "Pale skin, scared to show pecker,"
Oh,
but because he covered everything. But
yeah.
no, I mean, I have grounding tables in my clinic that are made of 99.9% silver, and you can test the EMF field in my office, which is around 60 hertz, and when you touch, all the radiation goes out of your body.
Nice.
I've taken 0 complete neutral you neutralize. I have the anti-aging, covers, but I've used the same device. I've gone outside barefoot. It doesn't even go 0 barefoot, old school, but you get close. I've laid in the floor naked with this, and you get very close, but actually the grounding sheets are even more grounding, neutralized to
Really?
0.
Oh, wow.
But I've, like, literally dug in myself
Are these
into,
the
like
grounding sheets you plug into the grounding
yeah, you plug
outlet?
it into the outlet, and if anybody knows the outlets in their wall, it looks like 2 eyes and a little dot, that's the nose. So the 2 eyes that go like this is where the electricity comes into whatever you're using. And then the little dot there is the grounding plug, which grounds your house so, you don't have a current that blips. It doesn't have the electricity that comes in, it only has the grounding that goes out.
Right.
So when you plug it in, the top 2 are like these plastic things, and the bottom one is the one just pulling all of those, electrons out of your body into, the EMF field. It neutralizes it right into the ground. And in
Nice.
Florida, where I live, it's the lightning capital of the US, not the world. Someone told me there was somewhere else. So every time the lightning hits the ground, there's electron donation. So this is
Mm.
how it works. and then you have all these positive free radicals. You could think of plus signs going around, and then together you become neutral.
Okay.
So when you touch that mat, it just goes until all the positive and negative go together, 0,
See, all of this
neutral.
stuff that you're talking about with these different modalities
Mhm.
on how you treat your patients. I remember you saying that you do what a chiropractor does for the spine, but for the whole body.
Yes.
So these are some of the techniques that you're utilizing to really help someone their whole body physically.
So, yeah, so the grounding, all of my treatment tables are grounding, so everybody's grounding. I do try to remove their phone from them, try to get them on a BrainTap, a master reset. I joke with chiropractors because I work with a lot of UFC fighters and NFL athletes, like concussion athletes, because I am the brain, the spine lady. People say, "I make people walk again, bitch." I told
Mhm.
you, but, when you're so good at helping people walk and talk again, you get a lot of concussion athletes. And, where was I? Would you ask me? Oh my god, I got lost there with
But we were
oh,
talking
the
about
what you do to the spine and the whole body. So, we do ankle whips, arm whips, and what that is, if you've ever heard of a heel whip or arm whip, is I adjust the whole arm, by whipping it, the ankle, and they're like, "Whoa, I've never had this done before." So I aligned the extremities along with the spine.
nice.
So that's where I
So
joke with
so
that.
you mentioned athletes.
Yes.
What are some of the mistakes that you see that elite athletes make all the time when it comes to
Mm.
recovery?
Oh, not only do I see it, but I see them recycle it to their children if you're
Oh boy.
watching. But, being in the ice bath too long, using ego rather than your energy, It's like you have this chart on the wall, who's in the ice bath the longest, and it's like more for competition, but can they stimulate their nervous system, close their eyes, be non-competitive, and just breathe?
Mm,
Because then you receive more of the benefit of what you're trying to do instead of panicking and being in this fight or flight. You're switching the brown and the white fat, and you're reducing your risk for heart, disease and brains degenerative
right,
conditions. So really, it's getting rid of that ego and competition when it comes to recovery. Recovery should not be competitive.
right,
How long you could how far you could stretch should not be competitive. It should you should do breath work, you should time, energy, breath, relax your body. That's how you can tear things. That's how you can, have overuse your cortisol, get stressed out, actually overage. I see a lot of athletes because I have the neural check from the brain tap and I scan their brains. And
mm,
they can look amazing like you. And then I scan their brain and their brain shows up black. And when you see a black brain with 0 energy running through your body, that's when the truth comes out, like, "Oh, Dr. Levi might be doing a specific drug or something that's not, on a schedule that could be caught, but what can I do otherwise?" So,
right,
what is this competitive edge? And I think when they, there's a lot of pressure on professional athletes, like, I know people say they should just suck it up, they make a lot of money, but they suck up a lot. They're very tough, they get paid a lot, but they're storing so much injuries because it's just their whole value is based off their performance.
right.
So, to just let them know, 1, teach them how to save and start other businesses so they can really take off that pressure of performance because you're not going to be there forever. I love to tell my athletes that, like, find your exit to give yourself grace, but don't be competitive and give yourself that recovery time. That's why Tom Brady's the GOAT because he recovers just as much or more than he was performing.
Yeah, and I like what you said.
So,
Like recovery should not be competitive.
no.
It really is more of a personalized type
Yeah.
of thing that you need to do.
Yeah.
It's personalized to the individual based off what you need, how quickly you can recover. Other some people recover quickly, other people it takes time. You know,
Yeah.
so I like that where it's not a competition. Um, CBD IVs. I know you've
Yes.
tried it. You like it. Let's talk about it.
So I met Pico IV in Las Vegas and I was going through extreme cellulitis, which is crazy. Everybody's like, "What?" I had my ankles were cankles and it was going past my knees, but I was on the Biohack Yourself film. I was like, "I'm going to be on the red carpet with RFK. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be this badass." Um and I'd like to talk about that too cuz I made a goal in my head of how far I'm gonna make it, and I made it exactly to that goal, so we gotta make good goals. I should have made a better goal.
Mhm.
But either way, by the time I did the red carpet, my body shut down. I had bilateral edema past my knees, so my shower door broke at home. So
Mm,
the glass shattered and I stepped on it. I thought I pulled out all the glass and it caused a super bad infection that I thought I got rid of, but I was just, I guess with the flight and the travel to Las Vegas, it really blew up. I got a fever, I was sweating. I can send you videos, just so you can put for your followers, but it was terrible. And I had arrhythmia nodosum, so it looked like nodules, like baseball, like someone beat me with a bat, both of my legs, and I had to rent a scooter. I couldn't even walk.
oh, wow.
The night of their premiere, I actually crawled on my elbows with a scooter and had to be taken to the hospital. But before that, before I went to the hospital, Miles, Terry, and Dr. Pompa came to my hotel room and I got a Pico IV. I know Dr. Pompo got a Pico IV too, and a couple Dr. Porter got a Pico IV. They gave me Pico IV and bid me farewell,
Hmm,
but we all wanted to try it out, and I am one of the first people in Florida with my marijuana card. So I've studied CBD, THC, all of the so I'm like CBD IV. I mean, people listening might not know how amazing CBD is, but it's like a super anti-inflammatory.
right,
I've used it on my children when they were teething, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Or like, put oral gel, put oral gel. I put a CBD gel, and my kids were fine, and they weren't high, and they're very smart. So, I think there's a huge bias on this type of product. But Miles showed me pictures of other people that have had it and how they benefit, and he told me, you might not be better right now, but in 3 days, I know you're gonna be better. I know it. Like, and he had this really and I love Miles to this day because like, he just cared about me. He knew it would help, and he was really excited to get the feedback.
right.
I got on the plane. The flight attendant dropped a Coke on my ankle. That was so painful, I remember.
Wow.
But, I got home, and I was supposed to go straight to the hospital. Susan from N101 is the one who told me, "You need to get out of here if you wanna see your kids again," because my fever just went up through the roof, and I went home, but like a queen does, I had to go home and smoke a blunt first before I
Mhm,
went to the hospital and pack and shower. Because unfortunately, when you've been hospitalized 9 months, it's a weird trauma going in because you don't know when you're gonna come out, and, as a firefighter, if you refuse treatment, then you're not being compliant, and then they might not help you. So it's like I almost have to like prepare to be a little bitch in the hospital and do whatever they say and just go along with it. And for me, this is very much with my mom being killed by it was very hard. So by the time I went home, I smoked a blunt. My husband got home from work and he's gonna take me. I packed my bags. We're on our way there. And I kept telling him, I feel like I know it's crazy because it's the same day, but I'm like, I feel like this IV's working. And my husband's like, nope, still gotta go to the hospital because I'm already here and
mm,
he's used to dealing with me. So he's like, I'm not gonna wait till you pass out because I'm very tolerant. So I got to the hospital. They wanted to do an ultrasound, clear me for all those things. But really by the time they started doing things, I fell asleep in the emergency room, and my husband and them let me sleep because I was in so much pain and rocking, and I wasn't sleeping, and I did not want all the pain medicine. Either way, they ended up discharging me because no blood clots, and, they said I can have this pack of prednisone to take, and before I took it, I just had a feeling I wanted to wait another day. All I did was the Pico IV. Literally on the 3rd day, my legs, I could see my ankles, I could see my knees, I could see my epicondyles, like, I had legs again, and it slowly went away, and, the bruising and the broken capillaries and everything stayed for probably about 6 months. Because I mean, that's how bad it was, but at least the pain went away, the swelling, and that was 1 IV.
nice,
So it
nice.
was
That's
amazing.
the thing. A lot of people, they don't understand that there's already a bunch of actual clinical research on CBD. But what makes the Pico IV different, the Pico CBD IV different, is the bioavailability of once it
Yes.
goes intravenously. like all the other CBD that you have access to is like oral
Not
tinctures,
even
creams,
compared.
doesn't
Yeah,
compare. You talk about the picomolecule that's smaller than the nanomolecule that can get into the cells, can get it to all of your organs, including your
yeah,
brain, and has these tremendous like immunology response inside of your body.
yeah.
So it's great
I
to
think
hear
it's
that.
so amazing because some people, "Oh, I do that." It's like, no, suppositories, oral, nothing compares to the Pico
Right.
IV, and I'm excited for it to become more popular and super successful, and because I know the way it helped me, it can help millions, and I'm excited to see how it changes the
Absolutely.
industry.
I love that. Yeah, I work closely with them. They've put me on their advisory board.
Yeah,
So
they're awesome. I'm
working on a lot of
excited for
stuff. Yeah.
that. So
They're
you
actually
guys,
here.
I could be the guinea pig. So just send me Pico IV, give it all to me.
Yeah, yeah. They're actually here this weekend in South Florida.
Oh, that's
Yeah, they're
awesome.
at a conference that we're participating
Oh,
in
perfect.
Jupiter. So obviously you put in a lot of work with BrainTap.
Uh-huh.
Um, you were telling me the other day that you've created certain BrainTap sessions for
Yes.
kids, where
Mhm.
your voice is like the last thing they hear before they go to sleep at night.
Yep.
So what is it that you put together through BrainTap?
So I've actually put a lot of meditations. I've even done one for the prostate because I do know anatomy very well, and I do anatomical meditations to heal yourself or heal the gut, like walking through a tunnel and painting it with aloe vera, like little meditations to heal the body. How I wanted I what drove me to do the kids meditations was my son's school, like, all the parents were bringing in really bad snacks, and they were like, "Well, you have 10 minutes to speak to the whole school, Dr. Leiva. We'll let you do it in service." And I thought, 10 minutes to speak to hundreds of kids, this is gonna be hard. So I made a superhero story about nutrition, and, um, all the kids loved it, which led to I'm like, "Hey, let me submit it to BrainTap." They loved it, and then I wrote series about just different I wrote one about a girl who ice skates and, everywhere she goes, it turns into like an ice river. You can ice skate around the world and just really using my imagination and my voice. There's so many AI tools that can record you now. um, I've tried to use those things, but my son told me, "Mom, that scares me, like that monotone, weird voice," or he knows it's not me. So I've made a point to stay authentic, use my voice. I've done quantum healing journeys. Now I'm doing some for women.
Nice.
I've done Align the Spine, Free Your Mind. And now they just launched braintap.com/queen. So if people want to go there, they can see my meditations and it's really accessible. So braintap.com/queen.
I love it.
And you can see all of those. And it's free for 14 days. So if you want to listen and get out of there, go for it. But really, you can have the app without the headset. And the headset just it makes it like a IMAX experience.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I love my brain tap. I always use
Mhm.
it. It helps to reset. I'll tell you, I've gone when I was having issues with sciatica, lower back pain. It's one of the things that actually gave me relief.
Yeah.
Got myself in a zero gravity chair, put on
Wow.
my brain tap, and it just the power of the mind and pain in your body is unbelievable if you know how to control your mind. You can,
100%. I mean, pain is an output,
hmm
and a lot of people think pain is an input. If you study the brain, and Dr. Porter will tell you, because the way I use layman's terms and some of the disconnect between my reception and the way I go out, there's a lot of disconnect through trauma and different things I've been through. But I really understand the the neuromuscular system very deeply. And when you understand, you can switch these signals to feeling pressure, scratchy, sharp. That's why there's variables like what are the descriptors. But then if you train your brain, you can completely get rid of pain
Yeah,
because pain's an output. And I want to teach people that.
agreed. So there's a big movement going on since the
Hmm.
new administration, Make America Healthy Again,
Yes.
the MAHA movement.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts about it?
I'm super excited. I have been trying to get the my son's classmates' parents to provide better food options when it's someone's birthday. Someone the other day said, "I'm bringing crumble cookies in even though they're terrible." And it's like, look at that sentence. I'm bringing this in even though they're terrible. I'm doing this even though it sucks. I'm glad the food dyes are still here so I can still do the Hawaiian punch or the what's that guy? Jake Paul. He has a drink, these prime drinks the kids are drinking. So, I felt like I was doing an uphill battle alone. And now with the Maha movement, I think a lot of moms that they used to call us crunchy moms, granola moms, we feel like we're being heard more
Right.
because some of the moms will tell me, "Oh, you must be so proud of yourself being on Biohack Yourself or with what you're doing." And I go, "Yeah, I am proud of myself." And I'm
Yeah.
glad that like Maha is not political. Everybody should wanna be healthy.
Right. It should be
And that
nonpartisan. Yeah.
100%, and for me, like, when people make it political, I just try to educate them that having free choices, like whether you wanna vaccinate or not, it should be a free choice, but I mean, like, whether you wanna eat red dye number this versus that, like, I mean, if you really wanna eat it, you can find it or order it online, but
Yeah.
that's so weird to be like, "I'm gonna eat Tylenol and red dye just to be on a political side," like, we just wanna be healthy again.
Dr. Lauren, this next question, I want you to just take a second and really, before you answer it, think about it. I want it to come from the heart.
Mhm.
All right. And you could take the next minute or two
I like that
and
you told
go
me
all
that.
in.
Mhm.
And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and tell us what you want the world to know about you.
Mm.
What do you want the world to know about what you do and who you are? What does the world need to know?
I'm gonna take a sip of water while I swallow that one down. Mhm. So, I think what I want the world to know is that I am here to make a change for the better in the mind, body, and soul as my profession. Otherwise, I am here to be love and light to anybody, to animals, to my son, to the neighbors. Like, I think if we all just really lead with love and light, the world can change a lot. And even disconnecting from that mission and purpose with the business or changing a billion lives because we all have these missions and it can take us into spinning out of control like I want to do more, but just really for people to know I'm out here to make a difference with doctors, with the students, with the community in any way that I can. So mostly through biohacking tools, which is a very easy thing, but even if it's through just being understanding empathy, community, happiness.
Right.
So I want to create connection and I want to just tell people they're not alone and we can have a good experience even if we've been dealt bad cards. And that's really my mission.
And if you were to say that there is one biggest problem
Mhm.
in this world related to what you can make better, what is that problem?
Insurance driven treatment. Doctors will treat patients based off of their reimbursement. And I'm really trying to teach doctors that if they have a wellness clinic that have IV or biohacking tools, you can do it differently. So when you are treating patients based off of reimbursement or what a company says you're allowed to do, I think a lot of the magic is gone because you're limited. And I'm treating someone with cancer right now, and they told me their pain will always be there. And I said, "Well, how do you know?" They were told that. And I said, "Well, you're with me now. So we have to start there." And they're like, "Well, I'm not allowed to do this. I'm not allowed to do that because of her insurance." And I
Right.
go, push all of this to the side. I don't even care if I'm reimbursed. I'm going to do whatever I can to help you. And it's like just within that self, people get better knowing that it's accessible and someone's not going to limit their treatment based off of reimbursement. So separating the money and the love with the patients.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ask you actually, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to have a little fun.
Yeah.
So, I'm
I
going to
should take off
name
my jacket.
I'm going to name a biohacker
Uh-huh.
and you're going to answer with just one word, first thing that comes to mind.
Mhm.
You ready?
Oh, okay.
Ben Greenfield.
Product slut. Product slut. Sorry.
Dave Asprey.
Mm. Blue light blockers. That's not one word, but I just think of his glasses all the
Yeah,
time.
that'll work. That'll work. Peter Attia.
Hmm. Phew. Longevity.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
think. Yeah. Sorry, Ben Greenfield. I didn't mean that like that.
Brian Johnson.
Brian Johnson, don't die. No. That's not the don't die guy, is he?
Yeah, it is.
He is, don't die. We immortal.
Ben Azadi.
Ooh, keto.
There you go. Yep. Yep. Gary Brecka.
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. All right. Andrew Huberman.
Hmm. Everybody wants to be him. No, he's a pretty gold standard. Um, I one word, respect,
Cool.
you know.
All right. So the next
Yeah.
thing we're going to do here. So one of my favorite podcasts is The Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett.
Mhm.
And he came out with these conversation cards. So I'm going to give you this. You're going to open it up. You're going to grab 2 random cards from the middle.
Okay.
And what you're going to do is you're going to read it out loud and you're going to answer it.
Perfect. I want that one and that one. All right. What is my deepest fear? My mom always said a mother's greatest fear is losing their children.
Mm.
So I'm going to say it in a hypothetical way because I don't want to say it in regards to me, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Do uncomfortable situations bring the best or worst out of me? The best. Frequency is everything. And I think it was a Dave Asprey conference 2 years ago. I was in a networking circle and this woman stood next to me and I could feel such discomfort and frequency through my body. I found out later she was talking all this smack about me,
Oh,
but
wow.
it was kind of funny because I'm always so confident at conferences and I felt this uncomfortableness, but I had to choose to center myself. But I think it's a beautiful thing to understand that frequencies are talking to us and just even knowing that I got uncomfortable, using it as a lesson and not to like allow uncomfortable situations to teach you things. Because I tell my patients, change doesn't happen in comfort.
Right.
Change happens when you're uncomfortable.
Yep. That's the truth. I
Hmm.
believe in that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Dr. Lauren, as we wrap up here, if there is someone listening or viewing this podcast that really resonates with today's message, what is one thing you can leave them off with?
Follow me, Queen of Biohacking. But no, again, you're never alone. There's always more to go. There is no ceilings when you don't create them. Your mind builds your world, truly. So have good thoughts today. They build your world tomorrow. And don't think about all the steps to get to point A from point to point B. That's like a linear path. And I think that's very common and what I would say normal people do. You have to think more quantum and just say, I am this right now. So that's the whole thought process of closing your eyes and being. Just be everything you know you are. And I used to get upset hearing that, but now I truly understand it.
Love it. Love it.
So
Lauren, it was well, before we actually wrap up, where can people find you?
find me at the exerciencecenter.com. Also queenofbiohacking.com. And if you're wanting to look at my meditations, braintap.com/queen. And I have a WhatsApp community. So all the links are there. We only have about 500 people, but it's growing. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm in it.
And
I'm in it. I love
yeah.
it.
So we have all of these different sub communities, whether you're single, whether you're looking for peptides or advice on your pet. I love my WhatsApp community. And that's another way, just like what you're doing with your podcast, for me to have people just get access to the information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dr. Lauren, it was a pleasure having you here on a Healthy Point of View
Mm,
podcast.
thank
Thank you.
you. I'm honored.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, guys, you heard Dr. Lauren. Remember, there's no ceiling here. You got to be able to have the thoughts and live in today's presence, right? Your thoughts have such a huge impact on how your body heals, on how your health, the trajectory of your health is moving forward. Guys, make sure that you follow Dr. Lauren. She shares tons of helpful information. Make sure you take this podcast, share it with your friends and family. It could be just that one person that it truly helps out. Until then, we'll see you for the next one.